first of all, I don't know that I can give you a decent introduction, Deborah, because I mean, everybody knows who you are, but I don't know really what you really do. It's like, you turn up and I read your stuff, and is that your real job?
I know. It's
I don't
like
know.
I'm like a virus. I just show up and infect everybody, and then nobody knows where I came from, where I'm going. Is there a cure? So technically, I am the self-proclaimed intergalactic ambassador to the Printerverse. I provide inspiration and resources to print and marketing professionals around the world. And I do that through education, through events, through social media, through content marketing, through content podcasts from the Printerverse, and a bunch of community initiatives like Girls Who Print, International Print Day, and starting this year, Print Across America. So I do have a real job, even though I made it up myself. And basically, I really try to take a different approach to educating the people about what's going on in the printing industry. And that's because I was a print buyer in advertising agencies for more than 25 years. So I don't want to hear your sales pitch. I don't want to hear why you bought your press. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. I'm not about to build one. I just want to understand, what can I make with it and what is the benefit to me? Me, 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 me. It's all about me. So what I like to say is that I put all the ingredients of the new print possibilities that are out in the world on a table, and then I push them off to everybody and say, make something cool. And that's a little different than, you can use our press to do this, 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 and this. Again, coming from that side of things, the first thing a creative is going to say is, why do I have to do that? So my
Well,
personal
although I've been on the creative side, I've been on the print buying side, procurement, and I've been a print salesman, all three in various stages of life. And I once, Jack Miller, founder of Quill, office supplies, Quill office supplies. Jack called me and asked me if I had a printer I liked, and I sent him to Web Company. And John Martin was the salesman, and Jack called me back and he said, Web is like 10, 15, 20% lower than everybody else. He said, are they legit? And I said, what John has done for me is he's explained why a particular press can do it more economically. And sometimes it means trimming a 16th of an inch off. I mean, it can be almost nothing. Or sometimes it's running 32 up instead of 3/8 or something.
Right.
And
However, to your point though, John,
so I do know. So it does come in handy to know some of that stuff.
it does come in handy, but let me just say that, tell that to a florist. They're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, none of
Yeah,
that
right. I
matters
know.
to me. What you're talking about, a professional print customer, right? What I'm
Yeah.
saying is that all of that is true. All of that is important. And one of the reasons I started one of my biggest customer education programs, Project Peacock, was for this reason exactly. I was helping the customers understand that they could seek out technology that might be better for their business and creative results. So
Okay.
to this point, I walk into a Jeep dealer and I tell them, I have a family of four, and we take a lot of road trips and this, that, and the other thing. And I tell them where I live, where I'm taking it, whatever. And the guy looks around and goes, actually, there's a Volvo SUV in the next, dealership that's better for you, right? The printers aren't going to do that. And the customers are
Right.
beholden to
Right.
their
Absolutely
printers,
right.
right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely right. Yeah.
again, it doesn't make printers bad people, makes them smart salespeople. But the problem is that how that translates to the customers, especially professional ones, is, we got nothing out of this. Why are we stockpiling media kits? Why do we have books in warehouses? What? And it's because their printer is not saying, actually, if they don't have the technology, right? If they're only on offset, for example, and haven't moved to digital technologies, they're going to say, no, you don't want to do it that way. You want to do it this way, and keep them as customers. So I agree with you 1,000%. Where we differ a little is that there's one thing to have a print partner and collaborate them with a project. For example, I want to do a save the date, here's the file, and the printer comes back and says, fantastic, we could do all this and more. I'll get to that in a second. But if you could just make this a little smaller, a little bigger, we can help you. So that's the collaboration part. I
Yeah,
start a
yeah.
little further back from that, saying seek out people with technology that is best for your business. And through Project Peacock, through we met with more than 4,000 print customers, students,
Wow.
printers in our live events and our agency visits. During COVID, I put up a Project Peacock platform where we had online events and other things. And at the end of that 12 months, 1,300 people registered, went back to the platform 5,500 times and watched an average of 54 minutes of video. And all these videos were printspiration. What can you make with print? What's new stuff out in the world? So I looked at it, I called the company, I made sure that those stats were correct. They checked them 3 times for me because those are miracle stats in the printing industry. And I was like,
Yeah.
heard Printerverse. You don't want to be somewhere on Tuesday at 2:00. You just want access to printspiration. So I've now changed Project Peacock into a streaming platform where I literally film printer and customer collaborations. Here's a customer that had an event coming up. They wanted to do a save the date and they wanted it to stick around at someone's desk. Imagine the joy on a printer's face getting that phone call versus, here's my file, how much is it? When can I have it by? It does not give that printer unless, look, there's different types of printers. There's some salespeople who are just going to take that order, say, okay, there it is, push it through and move on to the next thing. Other salespeople might be a little more nurturing or a little, let's see, if I can't, help enhance this a little more, or really try to understand what their goals are. So there's a lot of things going on around everything that we're talking about. But what I'm saying is that door has to be knocked on in a different way, which is print is cool. And you just don't realize how cool it is because you might not have access to the same information that I do as the internet.
Right.
I got it,
And
my own title. The intergalactic ambassador to the Printerverse.
the other side of that is that I've worked with, direct agency people that claim to know print, and anything you asked them, yeah, we can do it. And yet you find out that they're just working with brokers and there's a bunch of layers, because you can find anything, you don't have to have any equipment at all.
It's true. Yeah.
But there's some middle ground there. You don't want people that are just selling the hardware capabilities, and you don't want people that have no idea what the hardware capabilities are. Deluxe Check hired me. They had a little catalog and they threw it at me because I had said in a speech, you could do this for 50 cents in the mail or something. This was back in the 80s. And they said, we're paying $1.50 for this. What would you change? Well, it turned out they had a 4 and then an insert and then a 4 and then an insert and then an 8 and then a 16 signature. I mean, you could see that. And I said, why are these inserts where they are? Could they be here and here? We don't care where they are. We just want them inserted. Well, I just said, why don't you move them here and here, and we'll do an 8 and a 16 and we'll have the same number of pages. Not a character of the print run changes. Ask your printer how much that'll save you. $1,000 just right there.
Yeah.
Because their agency was a big name agency that you would remember the name of. But they didn't have a clue, so when you're building stuff in the physical universe, you have to know something about it, right?
Absolutely. But you're literally making my point for me. The first time I walked into a
I'm agreeing with
event, the first time I walked into a printing event, never had been one to be before as an advertising agency print buyer. The first booth in the first aisle I stumbled upon was Roland DGA. And this was like in 2014. And they had metallic ink on their wide format printer. And I stopped and I stood and I looked at it and I had with tears in my eyes and I was like, oh my God, when did this miracle of miracles happen? I can't believe this. And they looked at me like I was insane. And they were like, this has been out for like 5 years.
Yeah.
The next
And
booth
before
I
that,
walked to,
spot varnish and other neat things that nobody
I'm
knows
just
about or
saying,
uses.
the
Yeah.
next booth I walked to, I had the same experience. And that is when
Yeah.
I realized that as that print customer, my knowledge base was really beholden to my vendors. And I was picking my vendors not really because of capabilities at that time. I mean, it was mostly offset. Digital really hadn't started, penetrating the market. And when it did, I can tell you right now, we were all like, no, it's fuzzy when using it, but nice try, until
Yeah.
the value proposition of all you could do with it made fuzzy and, not exactly matching a PMS color, but close enough that the client signs off on it, that there became other value to using it, but I still had to know it existed. So I think we're on the same page with this.
Oh, we definitely are. When I started using a laser printer to set type instead of the big CompuGraphics thing, the type was all fuzzy, but in those days we still had to burn plates, and so the little fuzzes disappeared as you went to film.
Yeah.
Came out perfect. No one could have ever told the difference. It was great.
Yeah. It's a
So
miracle.
sometimes the process, there's only so much resolution you can get, right?
Yeah.
I'm working on a client. This is one of they produce catalogs of merchandise for big corporations, and they do this in-house, and it's just it's spectacular, beautiful.
Yeah.
This is a digital press and nice big format. I mean, it's beautiful. So I'm trying to figure out what run length is economical and stuff for them, and they don't think that way. They think in terms of the client wants 100 of them, that's why they should be on that.
Right. That's why they should be digital.
Because the economics work out really well for short runs.
Mhm.
So you made the point in that perception of print article that print needs a better PR vehicle. And you even mentioned a conference or something. Is it a real in-person conference?
Yeah. So every year for the past, I don't know how long, 11, 12 years, I invented a holiday called International Print Day. And
I saw
traditionally,
that. Yeah, October 25th.
correct. And traditionally it's been celebrated online, where everybody using the hashtag IPD in whatever year it is. So this year would be IPD 30, 23, International Print Day 23. Everybody, wherever you are in the world, and we have had 6 continents participate. Can't get Antarctica. Got to work on those penguins, on the researchers over there. But every year, people just put out. We have a theme. Sometimes it's print love, print UX. Talking about interactive things. So, and everyone just shares on social media with the hashtag. And over the years, we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of impressions for print. So this year, I really wanted to bring print to the local communities. We've got global covered as
saw that have the printers put on tours for the Chamber of Commerce or something, right?
So on International Print Day in the United States, I'd like to start small. So for me, starting small is only with the United States. So on International Print Day, Print Across America is a new initiative where I am encouraging and helping as many print shops as possible have an open house that day. Whatever they choose to do, they could do a lunch and learn, that counts. They could invite designers over for design class on their new finishing equipment. They could have workforce development. They could bring a speaker in. They can do whatever they want. And so there's a whole Print Across America initiative. It's completely free. There'll be a directory. So if you're having an initiative, you just let me know. I'll put you on the directory. So if I'm in Chicago, I can search for anyone in Chicago having an open house and go over there. And then as well, to support that, I'm producing a 10-hour online conference before International Print Day because everything's converging on the same day. And then the print shops can play that in their open houses. If they don't are not having an open house, they can share links with their customers. There will be no sales. This is not a sales event. This is a PR for print event. So everything, all the cool stuff you can make, all the new technologies, the new inks. I mean, I just saw something so cool the other day from Swiss Cube. I have to give them a shout out. These lenticulars that they can print. All of the ADA compliance stuff that the brands and everybody is really interested into. But the point is that the local people get to come in and understand how print can actually contribute to the success of their business. So this is how we can start creating better PR for print, helping what I call civilians, who are the people we need to invest in print, not the companies that market. They understand about print and they're going to use it how they want to use it. Keep them out of it unless you educate them on possibilities and then help them find where they want to go. The problem is everybody else who, to the point of my article, doesn't see print the same way we do. You know, they see it as an inconvenience, something they don't understand. Junk mail in my inbox, having to pay for ink cartridges, you know, every 20 days.
I tagged you on today's live stream. I hope you watch it because
I'll go look for it. Yeah.
It was super refreshing, and I hope you comment and share because it was basically a professor of women's studies who wanted to distribute art as broadly as possible from South Seattle. I don't know if you heard of this, but it's unbelievable. What a great perspective she has. And so you'll really like it, I think.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
So I tagged you in it. Yeah, I've never heard this before. I've never heard such a refreshing perspective of distributing art and distributing creativity across a wide range inexpensively and getting everybody to engage with it. It was fantastic. So you're really, really going to like it. But the point, and I've made this point again on the live stream, is the point is if you want to communicate value, then print's the answer. That's exactly what those podcasters were kind of saying. They had it backwards. You know, it's too much trouble for me. Right. But if you took the time, someone would know that you cared a lot.
Of course. And I pointed that out. They couldn't care less that I would love getting that postcard. They were like, no, I'll just have,
I know.
No one has time for that. But that we have to embrace that. Right. And then I would say this, then how can we make that postcard worthwhile? What if there was the ability for me to, wherever I buy that postcard from, I also get a link. I go to the link and I can upload some photos, or I can upload a video of myself at the place. So not only do you get the postcard, but you also get something that I can scan and maybe print out, or maybe, you know, or watch a video.
Yeah, my sister does that. She's in your Girls at Print. I'm a little bit, you know, I might identify differently just to join that group because it seems like a lot of fun.
Well, you know, you still.
I don't know if they exclude men. It just sounds a little odd, you know.
You still have advantages with your man parts, so I don't know if it really counts.
Yeah, well, I sure. Yeah, there are some things that works for, but anyway, like Father's Day. But anyway, she's in that, and on her Christmas, she works at Amadon Graphics in St. Paul. And she puts a QR on her Christmas card, and then you get the full banana, you know, with the
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that the printing industry has to start investing in this. So I go to the Chamber of Commerce where there's a tourism thing, and I say, let's create a new type of postcard. And then we're printing. Right. But we've changed.
And for all the talk, you know, I don't know if you've read my book, but I start with R.R. Donnelly in 1978. And I talk about how, you know, they did Selectronic Bindery to send a different magazine for Farm Journal to the hog farmers versus the wheat farmers. Okay. And when I started, which is right in there, everything was going to be personalized. Everything was going to be unique to your household. And of course it still isn't. You know, I talked with printers a lot and they say, oh, you know, maybe 10% of our customers use
Yeah.
some sort of
The
personalization.
magalogs
But
and the catazines that we
yeah,
swore
but it's all
were
the same. I
coming.
mean, yeah, in 1981, I worked with Johnson Hill Press, and they did a lead generation program, and they had one for executives and one for like doctors and lawyers, and another for big time farmers, and another for small business owners. And it was a magazine with those 4 titles, and we had to find the lists for those. Well, yeah, you could do that in 1981, and it's more than most people are doing today, unfortunately, because they
Well,
just
yeah,
they don't know what their market segments are. They don't
it's
they don't
not
know how to
just
do it. It's really sad.
exactly. The customers look at it and say, no, this is too complicated. I don't care that the recipient is going to have a better experience. It is too complicated for me.
Yeah.
Going back to my article. So
Yeah.
we collectively as an industry have to address that mindset. It is not about showing somebody a stat, but if you actually personalize that catalog, you could probably get better results. There's still like, that doesn't resolve the problem that I need 7 people will quit
Yeah.
creating this thing. So we have
But
a
it is
lot.
tricky. And the digital people,
I'm
they
not
think
saying
they've
it's
kind of
not
cornered the
tricky, but
market
I'm
on,
saying that
yeah.
we are in an event horizon right now. The
Okay.
amount of people in the world who prefer to consume their information through a printed material is waning off of the planet. It's just a fact of life. I've heard economists speak about, you know, the population, and it was one of the most eye-opening presentations I've ever seen, because they were like, they showed the population, they showed when print was really popular, pretty much in the 80s when the baby boomers were, baby booming and
Yeah.
working and
We grew
everything
up
like
on
that.
catalogs. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And
Exactly.
then they
Yeah.
showed, like, right after that, they showed this dip, and they were like, guess what happened here? They're like, a lot of people died. It doesn't mean there's no value to print. It means that we have to change it if we want the millennials, the younger end of the millennials, and the Gen Xers, and whatever's coming behind them to even pick up a piece of print. The world is changing. It does not mean there is no value to print. It doesn't mean that print is dead. It's just, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. But your business will be dead if you do not evolve to embrace and address who's got time for that. I just did an interview with somebody who works on a global beauty brand. At any point in time, they could do things where they are customizing their packaging. And they were like, literally like, hell no. There's already enough with the ingredients and the weights and matching the colors and making sure those boxes
Yeah.
are legal. The last thing they want to do is add something to it. But now with digital printed packaging, they're looking at maybe a short run of gift boxes for only a certain, but they call it customization, not personalization. They have no interest in it. So we can wave $3,000 industry studies in front of their faces and white papers and invest in all this stuff, but it's not going to change a human being's attitude about this unless we change their attitude about it without saying, well, people like to touch things, I mean, all the ridiculous stats I see in the industry does not counter who's got time to go to the post office and get a stamp. Sometimes I say this to the co-management people. They're like,
Oh yeah.
well,
And
we've got these
printers
specs.
tell me the post office doesn't want them. Want them to drop off bags of mail. No,
Uh,
that they can't even check it in anymore at most
Well,
post offices.
that's true as
know.
well. But like sometimes I have this conversation with the color management people. I'm like, well, we've got spectrometers on the press, and we've got this and we got that. And and I said, okay, no problem. I said, what is your mathematical solution to this? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I look at it and I say, I'm like, I don't really like it. And you tell me, and I'm like, the blue's a little not blue enough. And you come to me and say, but my spectrometer says it's this. That's not a human experience. My human experience is, could be better. Doesn't matter what what I'm saying? We have
Yeah.
to all get on the same page with human experience.
Well, I'm going to get on board with the International Print Day. I do have a connection with a printer in Ghana,
Oh, awesome.
and yeah, and he does a lot of mail and a lot of print for banks and other businesses over there. And I met him in La Crosse, Wisconsin. He came to a print show, and
Nice.
so we've stayed in touch. And I also work with a number of printers around the Midwest and Canada. Our Wisconsin DMA is not limited to Wisconsin. We actually have more members outside, but most are in print. And
Excellent.
we do have a mailers roundtable, but it's secret. But we do have some great people here. So I'm going to put together, and Quad's here, and and I'm gonna beat up some printers and make sure that we have some involvement in that National Print
Excellent.
Day or International Print Day.
Mhm.
We'll make sure it's international. Even if you don't want it to be,
Well,
I'm gonna
it's
have to get
International
that.
Print Day is the day that Print Across America is happening. So if you have printers
Yeah, well,
out
we're gonna
there,
make it
and
print across Ghana too, and
yeah,
we're
but if
already
if you can,
exploring Africa.
yeah, well, next year, or after that, Print Across the World is coming. But Print Across America is my test case. So if you can
Okay,
convince any of your local printers to open up their doors and have an open house, just send them my way to let me know, and I'll put them on the directory. And
okay.
we just made,
And I assume you'll give me some of the links for this stuff, because I really
well,
haven't been
yeah,
following up on all the video and all the stuff you produce, I have to
well,
say. And you probably haven't seen my 1,300 videos on YouTube either.
no, I haven't seen your 1,300 videos. Printacrossamerica.com is the website, or internationalprintday.org. Very simple. Or anyone could just go to printmediacenter.com, spelled CENTR, and find the information there. Or to your point, find me on LinkedIn or anywhere. I'm everywhere, as you said in the beginning. Well, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Take
Live
care.
long and prosper. Thank you so much.
Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart.